All right, let's get right to this. If you are starting a truck driving business, first thing I would say is do your research. Do as much research as you can, watch as many YouTube videos as you can, read as much as you can. There's forums, there's YouTube, there's podcasts, lots of resources. In my personal situation, I was originally going down the journey of being a broker and found myself in realizing that I need to find a niche. To try to be a broker and to try to I'm just going to be a broker and I'm going to broker anything and everything. And I'm not going to get into all the explanation of that, but you have to find a niche. And any good broker will tell you the same thing. Whether it's refrigerated trucks, whether it's dump trucks, whether it's dry van, you gotta narrow it down. So it's gonna make your life easier, and there's enough in every niche. There's enough for everybody. I found myself interested in materials like sand, gravel, asphalt, concrete, things that typically are delivered or transported with the dump truck. And then in doing so, I've become interested in getting a dump truck of my own. So first thing I did is I paid for a 1-month subscription onto a good load board. I wanted to see what the load boards look like for dump trucks. There's not a lot for dump trucks. So if you think that you're gonna buy a dump truck and you're gonna get all of your work on a load board, it's not the case. So figure out a way how you're gonna get work. Talk to other people that have a dump truck, talk to other people who are in the industry or that use dump trucks, and try to get a feel for pricing and see what you can afford. I was gonna build a business model for getting funding. There are some websites that will help you do that. I didn't find them helpful. Everything is just so generic, and I think that by the time you come up with the information that you need to use these business plan websites, you almost could pretty much just do it yourself with like a Microsoft Office template or something. So it just takes time, and think about, who you are even going to try to get the funding from, and ask them what they want. What kind of business plan do they want to see? What kind of numbers and things, and just make your life easier on yourself. Find your B before you leave A. And I'm lucky enough that I have somebody that's in the industry that has a dump truck, and I was able to get a lot of information from him, and kind of gave me more confidence in realizing, okay, I can get jobs, I can find work. And so first thing first, you got to get an LLC. You can do an S corp, but I suggest for starting out in a trucking business, just start with the LLC. That's going to give you the corporate veil between you and your assets and your business assets. Later down the line, you can change it to an S corp. The difference with the S corp is you will now be on payroll, so you'll pay for payroll, and you'll also have to file your taxes quarterly, so it's 4 times per year, and that can get expensive. So unless you're making more than about $80,000 per year, you're not going to really reap the benefits of having an S corp, in my opinion. So I'm moving to Texas. That's where me and my family, we've all committed and decided that's where we're gonna go. So I've always been a DIY kind of person, and I could have went on LegalZoom or just hired an attorney and just paid somebody to do it and do it right. But I decided to do it on my own, and I just watched YouTube videos and read on the internet, and it wasn't very difficult. I filed with the state. I hired a registered agent. It's a 70 or $100 a year to have a registered agent, which is basically kind of your security guard that stands in front of your LLC. So if somebody wants to sue you or, come after you in any way, they have to talk to your registered agent first. I think it's money well spent. Currently, I'm not in Texas. Me and my family were in Mexico. So I'm doing everything from Mexico. And so I needed a virtual address to be able to file my LLC. There's lots of services that do that. Some are cheaper than others. I found one as cheap as $10 per month, but they charge per mail piece, like $1 per item of mail, and I don't know. I don't know. And then you have to pay for storage. And I found a company that just pretty much does everything for $29.99 a month. So got my virtual address, $29.99 a month. Got my registered agent for $100 a year. And filing my LLC in the state of Texas was $300. So you can't register in Texas for less than $300, period. You can be your own registered agent and you can use your own home address. It's not recommended, but you can do it. Save yourself some money. It was an extra $70 to get my EIN number, and I'm sure there's cheaper ways to get it. That's just what I paid to get mine. And so what that will do is give me a number that I can now take to my money manager and say, okay, this is my EIN number. I need a checking account now, or a bank account. So then they can make you a bank account based on your EIN number. And now you can start having transactions through your LLC. Once you have your EIN number, at the end of the year, you're going to do your taxes. And all of your expenses that you've spent acquiring your LLC are now going to be able to be business expenses. So if you're going to, for your first year, maybe you're not making money, maybe you haven't started making profits, or it's just been a lot of spending and not a lot of making, at least you have that, you've recorded those losses. So it's very important, I think, in my opinion. So I don't want to start spending too much more money on this venture before I can write it off on my business. And I don't think you can write off business expenses before the LLC. So, I don't want to go buy a truck. I don't want to start putting money into the truck. I don't want to start paying for advertising. I don't want to start paying for marketing expenses, domain name, web development, whatever, until I have a bank account to run those expenses through. So that's where I'm at. I just filed the LLC yesterday. You can expedite it and I think pay more money and it'll be done faster. But the way I did it takes 5 weeks. So for the next 5 weeks, I'm just shopping for trucks, looking at trucks, which brings me to my next interesting thing for if you're interested in getting into dump trucks, and maybe this can be relatable for other trucks. I was looking for a dump truck and I realized they're really expensive. And I don't understand 100%, but I have an idea. I think a lot of people that are in the dump truck business and are profitable and they see a dump truck that's a good price, for them it's worth it to just spend the money and buy it because you can make really good money with it and you can always sell it. It's a good asset. So I get it. But what that does though is it makes the market kind of high. So I don't want to go buy a truck for more than what it's worth. That's what my financial advisor advised against. He said, if this truck isn't worth this amount of money, you can't spend that kind of money because, you have this asset, you're upside down in this asset, not the other person. And That's why I have a financial advisor, is he's supposed to look out for me financially. So of course it wasn't what I wanted to hear. I wanted him to say, yeah, you need to get a brand new truck, you need to finance the biggest, baddest one out there, man, because you're going to make money. That's okay. Sounds good. So he highly recommended not to get a new one. There are some benefits about getting a new truck to consider. Brokers typically don't want to broker trucks that are older than 10 years old because they don't want to worry about breakdowns. They don't want to worry about freight not arriving on time. In this particular industry with the dump trucks, a broker is responsible for a certain amount of loads. And if one of the trucks breaks down, they're going to be short on the loads, and that's going to come back and hurt the broker. So if you're buying a 1985, budget build dump truck, you're not going to be able to get a broker. Or if you do, they're not going to put you on, the cream of the crop jobs. So you'll pay less money, but you're gonna be in a smaller market. Of course, if you buy a brand new truck, you order one brand new from the manufacturer, your brokers are going to be excited to work with you. You're going to be the highest that you can possibly be on the list, considering that you're brand new and there's a pecking order with brokers. But if you get a brand new truck, they're going to be excited to work with you. They're going to know that your equipment's not going to fail. And that gives them comfort that, if they've got 10 loads that need to go and they know that you can do 5 loads and this other truck can do 5 loads, they're going to send you out with this other truck to go get those 10 loads. You get paid per load, broker makes his money, everybody's happy. They don't want to worry about breakdowns. They want to be able to just close these deals and get these jobs. So now if you get a truck that's 5 years old, you can save a lot of money. Not as much as I thought, but you can save a little bit of money on your truck payment, and then also you're still in the game. But I have found that, even this 2022 right now, and even like a 2019 is, if it's in good condition and low miles, it can be $180,000. So if a new one is 220 and then a 2-year-old one is 180, it's kind of just want to get a new one. It's not going to make that much of a difference on my truck payment, but now I've got something that's brand new. I'm the first owner, and that feels good, but it's also still $40,000. So, you buy a brand new truck and it depreciates by $40,000 in 2 years. It's still $40,000. So you kind of get into this law of large numbers where, the larger the number, the 40,000 doesn't feel like that much, but if you pay 40,000 for your truck and it gets stolen, it's going to kill you. But if you pay $220 for a truck and sell it for $180, it's it depreciated. So it's still $40,000. So, I was talking to a buddy and he said that his friend, what he does is he buys bobtails and he takes them to a guy who stretches the frame and puts the super dump on them. So he basically builds his own trucks. It's actually a really fascinating idea because these super dumps sell for a lot of money. If you can find them, they want $300,000 for these things. And so my buddy's friend will buy a good Peterbilt 389 bobtail, get it for $80,000, and stretch the frame and put the super dump on it and the drop axles and all the equipment and everything. And so he's getting these super dumps at half the price. And I thought that was a really interesting idea. And so now I'm kind of considering the idea, because I don't really want to get a super dump, but maybe I can get a bobtail and just put a 16-foot bed on a bobtail. I could get a truck with 500,000 highway miles, which aren't necessarily dump truck miles, which in my opinion are harder miles. and put a dump bed on it. But, you know, then you gotta look at the frame and how strong the frame is. There's a lot of other things that come with it, but that's where I'm at now, is deciding, you know, do I buy a truck that was born a dump truck and it has 500,000 miles on it as a dump truck and has been a dump truck and has ran as a dump truck, and you know, that's a lot of dump runs, that's a lot of job sites, that's a lot of off-roading, getting stuck, and still pay that dump truck price tag, when you can buy a bobtail, which aren't cheap. Nothing's cheap, just that's the reality of the industry. But maybe those highway miles are a little bit better. The interior might be a little bit better taken care of, and put a brand new dump bed on it and still get out maybe even a little cheaper than a thrashed dump truck. So I'm kicking around those ideas. I haven't worked out all the kinks, but that's where I'm at now. I've got 5 weeks waiting for my LLC to be finished, and I'll keep you updated on what's next. And if you like this video and you want to see more, click the like and subscribe button. Thanks.